Alright guys, this is Mr. Fortier here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to make one of these phone cases. Okay? We're going to teach you, or I'm going to teach you how to hollow it out, how to make a hole for your camera, possibly how to make some holes on the side, how to round the edges, and how to turn a two-dimensional picture loaded down from the internet into a 3D rendering so you can put it on your case. The first thing we need to do is we've got to decide what the dimensions of our case are going to be. So I know that if my phone is about 6 inches, that means it's going to be right at about 152.4 millimeters. So rather than trying to drag this to make it fit, I'm just going to type in the dimensions. So if you double click on here, you should have the option of coming over here, erasing that, and we're going to go 152.4 inches. That's 6 inches for a phone. Alright, now I know that the base of my phone is approximately about 3.5 inches. So I can put that into my calculator here that I'm using to convert into millimeters. And that's going to be, let's see, 3.5. That will come out to be 88.9 millimeters. Okay, so I come down here, click, double click, come over here, and that's going to be 88.9. Now I've got the basis for my actual phone. Okay, so that's about the size or the width and the height of my phone. Now the depth is probably not quite that, and I'm guessing that my phone depth is about 1/2 inch. So if I look at that as far as millimeters goes, so that'd be 0.5, and that is going to be right at about 12.7 millimeters. Okay, so that's 1/2 inch. 12.7, I think is what I said. Yes, 12.7 millimeters. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to keep this way for right now. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to round off these edges. So how do I do that? Well, I pull out a box and I'm going to grab a cylinder hole, which I will have to go over here, grab this cylinder hole, bring that out here. Okay, and then we're going to, whoops, we want it to stay the same shape. So we're going to drag this over here to the edge of the box. I'm going to make this cylinder a little bit bigger, but I want it to maintain its basic shape. So I'm going to hold Shift key down, left click on the mouse, and drag this thing out a little bit. Okay, you can see how now you've got a nice rounded edge. Okay, so we want these edges to match up with the sides of the phone right here. So that's what we're going to try and make sure happens every single time. Now I'm going to join these, and how you join them, you press Control and then you go G. Control G will then join these two pieces together, and now you get a nice rounded hole there. Now I'm going to turn this piece into a hole itself. Now I can drag this over to the edge of the cell phone, and you can already see, now if I do this, it's going to cut into the case, so we don't want that happening. But you got to make sure you don't accidentally, it's doing it anyway. Okay, so I click off of it so that I can actually drag it without accidentally changing. Okay, so there you see how I've trying to make sure these line up right here and here. Okay, so we want to make sure that we pull this one into place right here. We want to make sure that curve hits just right. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to increase the size of this. So I'm going to go Shift and pull it till it's there. Okay, so now that I know that I can get that, and then I need to adjust it ever so slightly out. Okay, so I see what my problem is. This is curving a little bit too far in, so we're going to have to redo this. So I'm going to back up a bit, a couple of steps to right here, to where you had the cylinder. Now, so the cylinder right now is too rounded right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the cylinder, what I want to do now is actually, we're going to decrease the size of the cylinder. I'm going to try a different method. Let's decrease the size of the cylinder. Let's elevate this one up. Okay, actually, let's make it a little bit bigger like that. So that should be good right there. Now we're going to group it again. You just have to play with it till you get the angle you want. So Control, Group. Now you see it. You want this to look as straight as possible and this to look as straight as possible. Now we make this into a hole. All right, and then we maneuver it over into the corner where we want it. All right, and that looks good right there to me. And that's rounding off the edge. So now instead of going through that process over and over again, we're going to duplicate this hole. So we're going to go Control D. See how it just got darker? That means it's been duplicated. Drag this over here now. And now I'm going to mirror it by pressing M and clicking right here. Boom. Now, if you'll notice, it's not exactly how we want it to be. It's not exactly like that. So we want to pull this over and make sure that's what we want right there. So we want that look. Okay, so now it looks just like that one. Now, we're going to do the same thing. Actually, let me make sure. Yeah, I think that looks right. There we go. That's what we want. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing down here. I'm going to duplicate it. Drag it down. All right, and then we're going to mirror it. All right, there we go, good. Okay, get rid of all of that so I can see it more clearly. You don't want it to cut into the case like that because this is actually the part where your cell phone is going to fit. Okay, that looks good right there. Now we're going to do it one more time. Duplicate it. Drag this one over here. We're going to mirror it. Whoops, change the shape on it so I go back so I don't get the shape changed on it. And we want to make sure it looks just like this one, so we're going to drag it in there. I think that looks good. Now we can create our rounded edges by grouping all of these together. Control G, and look at that, we got rounded edges. Got a little bit of a nick there, and that can be adjusted if you want to. If we want to go back, we can do that and just make a slight oops, don't want to do that. Make a slight adjustment there. Okay, now I'm gonna make a little bit more. Okay, so right there, that's where we want it. Whoops, I clicked too much of it. Control G. I don't know why that didn't work. Okay, Control G. Now we got our rounded edges and it looks pretty good. I like that one. Okay, so now this is the basic shape and size of the phone. This isn't the size of the case. The case has to be a little bit bigger than the phone because the phone has to fit inside of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one right here. Click on it, Control Duplicate, and we're going to set this guy off to the side for right now. Move him over here, and now we're going to work here. Now this one, we are going to increase the size ever so slightly. So what we want to do is keep an eye on your dimensions. We click here, keep an eye on our dimensions, and we're just going to hold the Shift key down as we drag away, and we just do it a little bit and a little bit more. Okay, that should do it right about there, and just one touch more. Okay, so that should be enough. Now I'm going to make this this case a little bit shorter. Okay, so we already said that the case was about half an inch in thickness, or the phone is half an inch in thickness, in which we said it comes out to be about 12.7 millimeters. So I'm going to lower this one to about 13 millimeters or so. There we go, 13 millimeters, and that seems perfect. We could go 12.9, but I think 13 is about where we want it. Okay, so this is what our case is going to look like. Now, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to turn this into a hole. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate it, and I'll explain why I'm going to duplicate it later, but I'm going to go ahead, Control D, duplicate it. I'm going to take this other hole and set it off to the side. We're going to use that later, but right now I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to show you a tool. This is called the alignment tool. There's two ways to access it. Once you've clicked on two different items at the same time, you can go up here to align, or you can just press L. And you see these little dots. This dot will align them up centered here, and then you can align it up in the center here. And as you can see, it's fitting right in there pretty well. Now, you see these cases are a little bit thicker, so we might want to make it a little bit thicker, or you could keep it thin like this. I'm going to keep it about this. I'm going to keep it about this thickness. Actually, I'm going to increase its size just a little bit. So, because I'm going to explain why in just a moment. But you grab here, hold your Shift key down, and just expand it just a bit. You don't want it too big. All right, then you're going to realign it. Go ahead and select both at the same time. Press L. It's already aligned here, so I don't have to worry about that, and we're going to realign it here. Good. Now we're going to join them together. Control Group, or Control G. Whoops, you know what I didn't do? I forgot to pull it up and allow for the floor here. So we're going to undo that. Okay, now I'm going to select on my hole. You can hold Shift down and click on the one thing you want, and so I'm going to select one. All right, we're going to go to this triangle, and we're going to just lift it up just a bit, about 2 millimeters. We might go 3. Let's go 3, because yeah, because we said that it needs to be at least 12. So I'm going to go 2 millimeters. That's enough thickness for me. Now we're going to join it together. Control Group, or Control G. Now let's join. Now we have our basic case right there. Now we're going to create that lip I was talking about to hold the cell phone in, because the case right now is bigger than the cell phone. I didn't change the hole size, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to make sure this is in alignment. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin out. Whoops, let's undo that and bring this back out here. Okay, I'm going to make this a lot thinner than it was before. So we know the thickness is about 12 millimeters. So I'm going to bring it down to 12 point. Yeah, we're going to do 12 millimeters right there. Okay. Now, I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to raise it up 2 millimeters, just like the other one was. The thing of it is, we shouldn't see it above, so I'm going to shrink this down just a bit. Actually, I'm going to bring... That's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to bring the case up just a bit higher right there, because it needs to be above the hole. That's perfect. Okay, so now that I've put that in there, I'm now going to shrink the case ever so slightly by maybe a millimeter. Watch. That should be 159. That's going to turn into 158. And we're going to go one extra millimeter, 157. Okay, so now we shrunk it so that we can make this thing fit. Now, it's not bigger than the hole, I don't believe. And if you see the hole poking out, that's because we got to realign it. So let's go ahead and realign it. L. Now we know it's not poking out and it's just right. And line it there. Now we're going to join it. Control G. And now you have one with a lip around the edge of it right there. That's good. I like the way that looks. Okay, now for my particular phone, I need a camera space. So I'm going to make a mock camera space that just like I did here, and that's easy to do. I can just grab a square that's already a hole. Let's check the dimensions. It's 20 by 20. I know that my camera view space is maybe an inch by an inch. And so 1 whole inch I think is right at about 20, but I'm going to double check it. 1 inch in millimeters is 25.5. So it's going to be 25 by, and it looks about 2.5 inches wide. So we're going to make it we're going to go ahead and make sure this is 25 right here. Yeah, I think that's it. Millimeters, 25.4. Okay, so that's how tall it is, and the width, on the other hand, is about 2.5 inches. So we'll go 2.5. And so that makes it about 63.5 millimeters. So now I'll go here, 63.5. Make sure, yeah, 63.5. That's it. Now we got the size of my camera. So that's the exact width and height of my camera space. So how do we make the hole? It's simple. Now that I've created the hole, I'm going to raise it up a bit, and then I'm going to just make sure that it's going through the entire cell phone case. Then you join it. Control G. Now you've got your nice little fitting hole. Okay, I've got some buttons over here on the side, and you know what? I could make a bunch of individual spaces here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this part of the case, and we're going to remove that simply by clicking on a hole, bringing it over here. Okay, we're going to raise it up about that high. Let's see, how high did I raise it up? Let's see. All right, we go about I'm going to go 3 millimeters. Okay, now I'm going to bring it over here. And I know the buttons are even with my camera. And they go down a little bit past my camera. So I'm going to measure that, all of that. I'm just going to take this whole side. I'm going to make a big chunk right there missing. It still allows the integrity of the case to be kept. Okay. Now I'm just going to join those. Control group. There we go. Or Control G is what I press. So there, now I've got a space for my volume button, and I think it's a shutter button for my camera. Over here I need to open up a space for my power button, and that's also right across from the camera. So we do the same method. Bring it up about 3 millimeters. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Perfect. Bring it in there. And we're going to make it about the same size as the camera, or just about. So we have access to the power button. All right. I'm going to group those. So we're going to go Control G. Now I've created a space for my power button right there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create spaces down here at the bottom for my jack. So I'm going to basically use the same method I've been using. I'm going to raise it up 1, 2, 3 right there. Move it into place. And I'm just going to let it go from here to here, because that's about where everything is. That, and it also leaves a space for the speakers, and also leaves a space for the phone to still be locked into the case. So now we're going to group that. Control G. Now I've got a space for my plugins, for my earphone jack and everything. Okay, so now I could possibly come in and then do some extra stuff here, but I don't think that's necessary. And I am going to do one hole right here, and this one seems to be right near the middle of my middle of the edge of my camera, and it seems to be actually over here. So I'm going to make a hole right there. And this time, I'm going to use a sphere. I'm sorry, that's a sphere, but I'm not going to use that. Let's get rid of that one. Let's use a cylinder lying on its side, okay? Because the hole is cylindrical. Now, and actually, why am I using a solid cylinder when I could just grab the cylinder that is already a hole? So we'll just grab that. I'm going to rotate it. Okay, we're going to do this about 90 degrees so it lays on its side. Good. Now we're going to rotate it again 90 degrees over here just to get it turning facing us. There we go. Good. Now I'm going to shrink it. So it's about the right size. I'm going to raise it up 3 millimeters. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And that should be perfect right there. I'm going to move it over just a hair and then bring it in. I think that's right. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm going to group that. Control G. Now I've got the hole for the light sensor in my phone. Now that I've done that, I can begin on the actual physical features and designs of this phone. So now I'm going to flip this over. And we're going to go 180 degrees, flip it over on its back so we can see the side. Now, I'm going to do this -40 and show you how that is done. It's very simple. You can either scroll down here where it says text, or you can go clip on where it says text over there. I'm going to do a slightly different one. I'm going to do 40A, but I'm going to bring this text out. I'm going to shrink it down a bit by holding the shift key down, shrink it down. Okay. Then we're going to go up here and we're going to type something other than text. I want it to say 40A. And I mistyped it, F-O-R-D-I-E-R. All right, 40A. Now, we're going to shrink it down just a little bit more because now that I've typed it out, it looks too big. That's good right there. Now, I'm going to raise it up. Actually, I'm going to make it thicker, because I'm going to make this into a negative space, okay? So I'm going to make this thicker, and I'm going to drag it over here. Now I'm going to make sure it's in alignment. L, and I'm going to make sure it's alignment here. I don't care if it's an alignment up here. This is where I want it to be. So I'm going to go L right here. Boom. Nice. Now, I'm going to turn it into a hole. And then we're going to group it. Control G. And there you go. There's my negative F-O-R-T-I-R, T-I-E-R, I'm sorry. That's my negative statement for there. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a 2D image and I'm going to make it into a 3D image. So I'm going to go and I'm going to see if this will work. But you can go up here and you can look for anything like this. Let's put in a search and let's just go for... and I happen to love wolves. So I'm going to go, but I'm going to say wolf. See if I can't get an image of a wolf that I really like and see if I can't get that to imprint properly. Now, generally speaking, it has to be a black and white image. So just a regular photograph, generally, most of the time, will not work. I don't think. So let me see if I can't find print. Yeah, that's, oh, I like that. It's got a paw. Oh, that's a cool one right there. And that one's neat. Let's go choose one that I really like. And I'm going to use this one right here. Or I like that one too. Oh man, these are hard. Let's go with something that's going to be more unique. And often when you're looking for a good one to translate into a 3D image, you want to use something simplistic. Is actually sometimes better than the more complex ones. Even though the complex ones look really cool, it doesn't always work well when you're trying to make this adjustment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to do, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this one right here. I think that, or I kind of like that one too. I'm going to go with this one. Okay, I'm going to save it. Okay, waiting for that to come up, and I'm going to go wolf print. Whoops, that's prompt. Okay, so, and we're going to save it to downloads. So I save that. Now I'm also noticing that this is a certain kind of file. This isn't the kind of file I'm used to seeing. I'm going to try this and see if it works, but I'm going to go ahead and choose another one just in case that one doesn't work. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do a paw print. And look at these size. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that size is going to be too big. It's not going to translate well. So let me look for another one. I don't like that. I like this one. Okay. That one's going to fit, I think. So we'll just save this one. So save image as. Call this blue. All right, that's already a good one. I'm going to just save it like that. Okay. Now, I am going to go to this website. Now, this is a link that's also found in your Google Classroom. It's called Convert Your Image, or okay, Online Convert is actually what it's called. Okay, so what we're going to do here, and this is not on the right page, but I'll show you which page you have to go to. So when you get, this is what it should look like when you first get on here. You're going to go to SVG, convert to SVG. That's what we want to convert it to. So we're going to click on that. Now we choose our file, and I'm going to try the wolf print just to see how it goes, if it works. Let's see if it works. It should convert it. If it converts it to an FVG, it should be okay. All right, so it started the conversion. All right, start conversion. See if it worked. Got a lot of wolf prints in here. I didn't realize I had all these. Okay, so I'm going to download this one, which I think it already... All right, so this one, we're going to download it, and it should pop up right here. SVG, wolf print. Now, if I go to TinkerCad, now I can import it by going to Import, choose File, go up to wolf print 1, SVG, and open. Okay, it's telling me the scale is too large. So we're going to scale it down to about, let's say 80%. So now we're going to import it. And I can still make it smaller once it gets in here. Oh my goodness, that is huge. Okay, so we have a problem. So that is why I wasn't sure if that was going to work. And I'm not even sure what that is. Certainly wasn't what I thought I had. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to convert the other one. We're going to convert the one that's the blueprint. Okay, so we'll go back and we're going to choose File. We're still doing SVG. And it's going to be wolf blue watercolor. Or watercolor wolf, yeah. We're going to open that one. Okay, now we're going to start conversion. All right, and look, it downloaded on its own, so I don't have to worry about it. So now we'll go back to TinkerCAD, go Import, choose File, and blue color. Yeah, there we go. Import. This is still going to be big, and I'm going to have to shrink it down. Hopefully this came out. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Okay, so obviously it's still too big, but it did nice. It rendered it. So what I did is I hold my Shift key down, and then I left click on the corner, and I just push towards the object, and it makes it smaller. So we're a little bit far away from it, so I'm going to pull this over here now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up through So it's about like that. I'm going to make sure that there's a little bit above it. Now we can group, and actually, I don't even know if I have to. I'm going to align it first. Let's make sure these are in alignment. L. Not much of an adjustment needed there. All right, not much of one there. Okay, there we go. And now I'm going to join them together. Control G. And it looks like it worked. I like it. Okay, so now I have a completed, fully set up case with two specific, like the requirements were. I have two custom parts. Okay, so I have met all the criteria I was supposed to meet. I've got the spaces for my buttons. I've got the space for my phone. I've got the space for my jack, and for the earphone, or for the plug up. I also have two custom designs imposed upon here, and that is a completed project. I hope this helps you guys, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys can come up with, and I want to see your designs, and please make them as original as possible, and don't be afraid to go crazy with some of your ideas, but keep them within the constraints. Okay, guys, and I will see you